When the agents led Chad out of the office in handcuffs, he turned around and met my eyes through the truck window. That's when he realized it was me. Before everything went sideways, life was steady. Not glamorous, not thrilling, but solid, the kind of routine that wraps around you like a well-worn hoodie. I'd been driving long haul for Red River Logistics out of Oklahoma City for 8 years. My rig, a deep blue Peterbilt with silver pinstripes, was my second home. I knew her every sound, every vibration. We cruised together through open highways, truck stops, and dawn skies so beautiful they made you forget how heavy the world could be. I'm Jessica, by the way. 39, independent, proudly single, and damn good at what I do. In an industry full of men who like to lecture and leer, I earned my respect mile by mile. Dispatchers trusted me with high-value hauls. Clients remembered my name. And when other drivers had engine trouble or needed a roadside favor, guess who they called? I had my favorite routes. Denver to Salt Lake City was my personal slice of heaven. Clean roads, scenic views, and good rest stops where the coffee didn't taste like regret. Red River knew it too. That route was mine more often than not. Then came Chad. I met him in the driver's lounge on a Tuesday morning. He had that kind of smile that looks practiced in a mirror, too perfect, too white. Wore jeans just a little too tight and boots too clean to be real. "You're Jessica, right? Heard you're the one to beat," he said, flashing that smile as he sipped from a protein shake. I nodded politely. I'd learned long ago not to give too much away too soon. He started asking questions. "What's the Salt Lake route like? How strict is dispatch about ETAs? Where's the best spot to grab a nap?" Seemed harmless enough. Friendly even. But within 2 weeks things shifted. Routes started changing. I was suddenly getting reassigned to shorter, less lucrative trips. Meanwhile, Chad was hauling cross-country. He'd chat with the dispatch girls, flirt just enough to make them laugh but not enough to get reported. "Guess they finally figured out who the golden boy is," he joked once, winking at me in the lot. Then came the little things. A misload that was accidentally assigned to him. A fuel card glitch that locked me out for half a day. A rumor that I turned down a job offer from a competitor, something I never said. I brushed it off. I didn't want to believe Red River was playing favorites. I'd been with them for years. I was reliable, professional, loyal. But the wind was changing. Still, I kept my head down, logged my miles, and tried to ignore the nagging feeling in my gut. I even started keeping copies of my logs and trip sheets just in case. And then one morning I walked into the office and saw the look on Carla's face. She was the head dispatcher. Always had a Diet Dr. Pepper in hand and a no-nonsense attitude. That morning she looked pale. "Jessica, we need to talk," she said. I followed her into the back room, heart thudding. That's where the ground began to crack. The office felt colder than usual. Maybe it was the flickering fluorescent lights. Or maybe it was the silence, the kind that clings to the walls when something is very, very wrong. Carla sat me down, slid a manila folder across the table like it might bite. "Jessica, this is bad." Inside were printed trip logs, GPS coordinates, scanned signatures. According to the paperwork, I had picked up a shipment of high-end electronics from a warehouse in Tulsa and delivered it to a non-existent distribution center in Amarillo. The cargo, valued at $120,000, was gone. I stared at the documents. "This isn't mine. I didn't take this load. It's your truck ID. Your name on the digital manifest. Your route authorization." Carla's voice was strained. "Corporate flagged it when the client called asking where the delivery was." "I was in Cheyenne that day," I said, my voice rising. "Check the GPS logs. Check my dash cam." We did. She looked genuinely uncomfortable now. The GPS logs were overwritten. Corrupted somehow. "And your dash cam wasn't recording," said the card failed. My hands trembled. That camera had never failed. Not once in 8 years. Someone set me up. I expected outrage. Instead, Carla looked tired. "That's what it looks like. But the company's hands are tied. We have to report it. And until there's a full investigation." I already knew where this was going. I was fired. Effective immediately. No severance. No pension access. They even froze my final bonus while internal audits were pending. My dispatcher login was disabled before I made it to the parking lot. I walked to my truck, or rather, the truck I used to call mine, and found a junior driver already climbing into the cab. It took everything in me not to scream. And then I saw him. Chad. Leaning against his brand new Ford Super Duty, all chrome and smug grin. He had the nerve to nod at me. "Tough break, Jess. You'll bounce back." He drove off with one hand on the wheel, blasting country music like he didn't have a care in the world. I spent the next 2 weeks spiraling. Every job application I sent was met with silence or worse, polite rejection citing concerns about recent incidents. My reputation in the tight-knit trucking world had gone up in smoke. I couldn't even get hired to haul livestock, let alone electronics. Bills stacked up. My landlord gave me a look I'd never seen before, the kind that says, "I used to like you, but I've got my own problems." I pawned my backup CB radio and canceled a trip to see my niece graduate. But what hurt most wasn't the money. It was the betrayal. The realization that someone I barely knew had destroyed everything I'd built, and done it with a smile. I sat on the floor of my apartment one night, surrounded by unopened mail and empty takeout boxes, and cried harder than I had in years. For my job. For my dignity. For the damn injustice of it all. Then my phone buzzed. A name lit up the screen I hadn't seen in years. Monica Davis. Monica Davis wasn't the kind of person who called just to check in. When her name lit up on my phone, it meant something was happening. We grew up 2 houses apart in Tulsa. She was the girl who dismantled VCRs just to see how they worked and once hacked the school's vending machine to give out free chips during finals. Now she was a cybersecurity analyst for a federal audit firm, and my only friend who actually read the fine print on user agreements. "Jess," she said without preamble, I saw the news. Red River's under internal review for a missing electronics load. "That you?" I sighed. "Yeah, that's me. Or at least that's what they're saying." "You didn't do it." "No." There was a pause on the line. Then Monica said, "Okay, let's go hunting." 2 days later, she pulled up in front of my apartment in a beat-up Civic, wearing jeans, sneakers, and the same "I'm about to break the internet" expression she had in high school. We sat at my kitchen table surrounded by coffee cups, printouts, and a whiteboard she'd brought from her trunk. First, she said, uncapping a marker, we mapped the lie. We started with my original logs. I still had copies of the routes, fuel stops, and mileage. Monica pulled GPS history from my Google account, synced with my phone. It confirmed I was nowhere near Tulsa on the date in question. Then came the interesting part. Chad posted an Instagram story that day, Monica said, clicking through screenshots. "Look at this." She zoomed in on a blurry box in the background of a selfie he took outside a bar in Amarillo. It was a shipping crate, labeled with the same distribution code as the missing Red River load. He was near the fake drop site, I muttered, jaw tightening. Monica smirked. And he tagged his cousin. Guy named Trevor Hale. Runs a shell logistics firm, registered 3 months ago in Texas, same address as the drop site. "Let me guess," I said, rubbing my temples. "No actual employees. No active contracts." Bingo. It didn't stop there. Monica dug into Red River's digital logs and found gaps, inconsistent timestamps, duplicate driver ID entries, and route authorizations signed digitally with usernames that didn't match assigned drivers. "They didn't just frame you," she said. "They built a shadow system to funnel high-value cargo. You were the fall girl." My stomach turned. But for the first time in weeks, it wasn't from fear. It was rage. Focused, burning rage. "I want to nail him," I said quietly. "I want this to end with handcuffs." Monica handed me a flash drive. "Then let's build your dossier." Over the next week, we became obsessed. GPS breadcrumbs. Deleted Instagram posts. Shipping manifests. Tax records. By day 6, we had a full conspiracy chart on the whiteboard and a USB folder named The Fall of Chad. We even got a tip from a former warehouse manager who remembered Chad pressuring him to sign off on a mystery shipment. Didn't feel right, the guy told us over Zoom. Now I know why. The pieces were fitting together. And we weren't just going after my job. We were going to take down a system that had buried more than just me. We thought it was just Chad. We were wrong. Monica's first real break came from a tip buried in a corporate registry database she'd scraped from 3 states. "Check this out," she said, spinning her laptop around. Before Red River, Chad worked for a company called Iron Crest Freight. Shut down in 2019. I scrolled through the screen. Articles. Lawsuits. Investigations. Iron Crest had quietly closed after multiple clients reported missing inventory, high-end electronics, medical equipment, and even a literal truckload of copper wiring. No one was charged. No one was caught. And before that? Monica clicked again. Same pattern at a firm in Ohio. Tech cargo disappeared under suspicious routing. Guess who was head of driver scheduling? Chad. A chill ran down my spine. He'd been doing this for years, embedding himself, finding weak spots in logistics systems, and manipulating route authorizations. Always just enough to stay under the radar. Always with a fall person. This isn't just corporate theft, I said, staring at the screen. It's organized fraud. Systematic, Monica agreed. And we're going to be the ones who unravel it. The more we dug, the bigger it got. Fake maintenance records linked to Chad's cousin's firm. Shell companies registered to P.O. boxes across 4 states. Credit card charges to prepaid hotels during phantom hauls, all matching missing inventory reports. We weren't building a revenge file anymore. We were compiling a criminal case. One night, over takeout lo mein, Monica looked up from her laptop. You know, this could take down half of Red River's leadership. Someone had to approve those bogus dispatches. I nodded slowly. That's not my problem anymore. You sure? I want Chad. And anyone who helped him. But I'm not here to save the company that fired me without asking a single damn question. Fair enough. We put everything into a digital binder, timestamps, screen grabs, GPS paths, shipping inconsistencies, archived posts, and background checks. Monica encrypted the whole thing and backed it up in 3 different places, including one copy she uploaded to a secure legal repository. This is federal fraud territory, she said. We're talking Department of Transportation, FMCSA, and possibly Homeland Security if it crosses state lines, which it does. There was a moment, quiet and heavy, where we both sat in the glow of laptop screens, the weight of what we'd uncovered pressing against the room like a third presence. Then Monica leaned back and smiled. We're going to bury this bastard. Not bury, I corrected. Expose. We printed 2 copies of the final dossier, one for federal submission, one as a failsafe. I held it in my hands, thick and heavy. Everything he'd done. Every lie. Every digital fingerprint. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about every driver who got framed, every client who paid for cargo that never arrived, and every company that let charm outweigh red flags. Chad had played a long game, but he'd finally run into someone who could outlast him. And I wasn't done. Not yet. The storm hit 2 days before we were set to file. Monica called me just after midnight, her voice tight. Jessica, something's wrong with the drive. I was already half awake, jittery from the adrenaline cocktail I'd been sipping for weeks. What do you mean? I tried to sync the backup. The folder's gone. Not corrupted, deleted. My stomach flipped. The encrypted one? Wiped. And not by accident. This was targeted. Someone knew where to look. The dossier, months of digging, cross-referencing, digital sleuthing gone. Like it had never existed. I still have the printed version, I said, forcing calm into my voice. That's not enough. We need to prove chain of custody. Metadata. Email headers. This isn't just for show, Jess, it has to hold up under legal scrutiny. She didn't say it, but we both knew what she was thinking. We've been found out. I hung up and drove to her apartment in my pajamas, my hands shaking the whole way. Monica met me at the door with her laptop already open, 3 monitors glowing in the dark like an angry shrine. I'm going to recover it, she said. There's a mirror backup on my work machine. I kept it isolated, just in case. I nodded. And if they got to that too? She looked up at me, the first flicker of uncertainty in her eyes since we started. Then we go to the feds with what we have. Burnt edges and all. I sat down at her kitchen table while she worked. Time dragged. I stared at the print copy in my lap, every page now looking more like a lifeline than a report. At 3:17 a.m., Monica let out a noise somewhere between a gasp and a laugh. Got it. My breath caught. The mirror. She turned the screen toward me. There it was, every file, every line of data, safe and untouched. I set a remote sync through a secure VPN. Buried it in a dummy directory on my office server. Paranoia for the win. I didn't even realize I was crying until she handed me a tissue. This changes things, I said quietly. They're watching. They know we're close. Let them watch, Monica said, her voice steely. Let them see exactly what's coming. We resecured the data. New passwords. New backups. 3 additional cloud vaults with time delay encryption keys. By sunrise, the dossier was safer than Fort Knox. But something else had changed. This wasn't just a mission anymore. It was personal. They tried to erase the truth. We were going to engrave it into the walls. We sent the report on a Tuesday morning. It went out in 3 separate envelopes, one to the Department of Transportation's Office of Inspector General, one to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and one to a regional federal fraud task force Monica had once interned with. Each packet was printed, signed, time-stamped, and tracked. Inside our dossier, over 140 pages of documentation, digital evidence, whistleblower statements, and enough red flags to stitch a communist parade. Then we waited. Monica stayed calm, or at least looked it. She kept busy setting up remote workstations, encrypting her backups again, even filing FOIA requests for Chad's previous employers, just in case. Me? I spiraled. I vacuumed my apartment 4 times. I organized my kitchen by food groups. I repotted a plant that didn't even need it. Days passed. Nothing. Not a call. Not an email. Not a sign that anyone even opened the damn envelopes. I knew it, I muttered one night, staring at my muted TV. They're going to ignore it. Bury it in red tape. They won't, Monica said. There's too much here. They're just moving slow. Government gears grind, but they grind deep. Still, the silence was maddening. Until Saturday. I was sitting in my truck, my new one, leased from a smaller logistics firm who had taken a chance on me after Monica vouched for my wrongfully accused story. Sipping gas station coffee and watching clouds gather above a Walmart lot. Then my phone buzzed. Monica, turn on local news. Now, I fumbled with the dashboard display, tuned into the local affiliate. Static. Then image. A wide shot of Red River Logistics HQ. Yellow tape wrapped around the entrance. A reporter in a windbreaker stood stiff against the Oklahoma wind. Federal agents entered the building at approximately 8:43 a.m. Sources say the investigation involves fraud, theft, and falsified shipping documentation related to interstate commerce violations. The screen flashed to footage. A man being let out in cuffs. Chad. His hair was a mess. His shirt wrinkled. For once, no smile. He looked stunned. Blindsided. He paused at the door, blinking in the daylight like he'd just been pulled from a hole. Then he saw the truck. My truck. I was parked right across the street. He froze. Our eyes met through the glass. Recognition hit him like a slap. He knew. I didn't wave. I didn't smirk. I just watched as the agents pushed him into the unmarked SUV and closed the door. That was the moment. No courtroom. No confrontation. Just truth. Laid bare in front of everyone. The news cycle exploded by Monday. By then, Chad's mugshot was plastered across every regional outlet, his name linked to a headline that read like poetic justice. Trucking exec caught in multi-state cargo fraud ring. The charges were brutal and thorough. 3 counts of federal wire fraud. 5 of falsifying transportation documents. Interstate theft of goods in commerce. Conspiracy to defraud federally regulated carriers. And just for good measure, identity misuse and data tampering. They'd found everything. Monica's dossier had cracked open the case, but once the feds got their hands on it, they pulled the entire thread. Subpoenas flew. Warrants rained down on every shell company and bogus dispatch log. Chad didn't just fall, he plummeted. Red River tried to save face, but the rot was too deep. Multiple managers were quietly let go. The CEO gave a panicked press conference about rogue actors and betrayed trust, which fooled exactly no one. Internal audits became criminal investigations. Contracts were frozen. Routes suspended. Half the office resigned by the end of the week. Meanwhile, Monica and I were contacted by a very polite, very serious agent from the Department of Transportation's Criminal Division. He called us instrumental contributors. Monica saved the voicemail. I still listen to it sometimes. We were invited to give a statement, voluntary but important for the record. When we walked into the federal building in Oklahoma City, I noticed for the first time that I wasn't scared. Not angry, not bitter. Just calm. Like stepping into a truth I'd always known was mine. The agent asked questions. Monica answered most of them, technical, precise, with the kind of clarity that made lawyers nod slowly. I filled in the human parts. The pattern of sudden reassignments. The shift in how people treated me after Chad arrived. The feel of betrayal that doesn't just bruise your ego. It stains your soul. When we left the building, the air felt cleaner. Later that month, I got a call I never expected. Carla. My old dispatcher. I wanted you to know, she said. We told them you didn't do it. After they found the fake manifests, we realized. I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner. I let that hang in the air for a second. Thank you, I said. But I already knew. The last I heard, Chad was denied bail. Too many flight risks. Too many fake identities. I imagined him sitting in a federal holding cell, that same smug smirk wiped off, replaced by the dawning realization that charm doesn't work on federal prosecutors. I didn't need to visit. Didn't need to testify in court. My work was already done. I watched the truth carry him away, and I never once looked back. About a month after the arrest, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Jessica, a familiar voice said. It's Phil. From Red River. I'm calling on behalf of management. Phil had always been decent. Quiet. He once left an extra pack of gum in the break room vending machine just because. We wanted to apologize, he said. Officially. For what happened. For how we handled things. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, too late for that, Phil. I know, he replied, and to his credit, he didn't push. We'd like to offer you your position back. Full seniority. Bonuses reinstated. Even a new route package if you want it. I looked around my new office. Yes, office. After the case broke, a small but ethical logistics company called Eastbound Freight hired me on as a senior route coordinator. They liked what I did with Monica. Called it proactive problem solving. I had a window now. A decent chair. My own coffee pot. I appreciate the offer, I said to Phil. But I'm good where I am. Understood. If you change your mind. I won't. Monica got her thank you letter from the feds a few weeks later, embossed seal, formal language, everything short of a medal. We went out for drinks to celebrate. She ordered a Manhattan. I had whiskey on the rocks. We toasted quietly. To the truth, she said. To making it loud enough they couldn't ignore it, I added. I still drive sometimes. Not for work, for peace. There's something about an open road at dawn that feels like freedom, like possibility. I keep my old Peterbilt key on a chain in my truck, a reminder of where I came from. What I survived. Sometimes people ask me how I managed to stay calm through it all. The answer is simple. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I didn't burn the place down. I built the truth one page, one screenshot, one breadcrumb at a time. And the truth did the rest.